Hello, folks. Welcome to another edition of the Housecoat Chat. This is number 46, folks, and I hope it's going to be a good video. I'm not exactly sure what is going on with my video out feed at the moment. Video looks good when I make it. When I watch it back later, it was bad pixels. I apologize to anybody that attempted to watch, and I'm hoping to gain a following in the show. So as I try and navigate through all my technical issues and learn as I go, and yeah, all I could say is that this is it is what it is. I'm using Clipchamp today because for some reason YouTube Live is not working well for me. So, without further ado, I apologize for my previous episode. I thought it was good, and then I hit send, and then I watched it back, and there was some pixels. Now I'm trying to improve my lighting inside my office, thinking that that may be helpful because sometimes I have it a little bit darker in here, even though I have some lights which you can obviously see with the reflection in my glasses. So without that, also one more thing, I'd like to make an apology to a lady friend who I mentioned who was an old lady on my show a couple episodes back. She is not an old lady. She's a vibrant woman who's quite alive and active in her life. So, anyways, there you go, Heather. I apologize for calling you that word that no woman likes to hear, and I shall not do it again. Anyways, folks, here we are today. It is episode number 46. As I said, I am reading Mark Carney's book Values, and I hope you are too. And if you could see in there, I got a little bit further than before. So, yes, and I can honestly say, because we're going to talk about Mark Carney anyways, this book that I'm reading of Mark Carney is called Values. It was released a few years back during the COVID time, I believe. Claims he lived in Ottawa on the back of the book. No, he was still in England because they were using pounds in the book, folks. If he was living in Canada, he'd be talking about Canadian dollars and such. But he is using the pound symbol for pounds for the British money. And folks, I can honestly say that it's nice that he's giving us a history of the term value and how it has been introduced into trade and commerce and nation building. He does talk a lot about likes of like Adam Smith, Ricardo, Karl Marx, and a few other prominent names in the history of I guess economics and people that were assigning value on things like goods that are being produced, whether it is food industries, whether it is the rise of the Industrial Revolution, and how they conducted trade. That part of the book, and so far that I've read, is kind of boringish, and I don't think I've really read a book like this in a long time that is kind of dry, in my opinion. But nonetheless, it is research that I'm trying to do to get a better understanding of our Prime Minister, Mr. Carney. Now, as you can see, the book is nice, big, lots of words, and I found a spelling mistake. Yes, I did. There is a thing in the first couple of chapters, and he's talking about, I guess, like evolution, and instead of saying, genes, the word was spelled memes. So, I mean, it's just a slight mix up, and whatever. It is still a well written book. I don't think he personally wrote the book himself. I think there is a ghostwriter, but don't quote me on that. After all, I'm just a dude in a housecoat trying to be as unbiased as possible regarding this whole situation with Mr. Carney and our situation in Canada. Now, as of today, have you all heard, we are not going to get a budget. No, but we borrowed how much more millions of dollars, folks? I also have new hearing aids, by the way, and I've, they're kind of a bit of a feedback on them with my earmuff. Hopefully there's no feedback on your end. Yes, all this stuff, the budget will not be given out, and we're going to have a fall economic update. Now, remember what happened last year when they tried to do the fall economic update? Nobody wanted to touch that hot potato. No one wanted to touch that hot potato. And it is a shame. And here we are, months after of our Perot government, after Christy Freeland resigned as a finance minister, who's still in the cabinet of Mark Carney. And now we're going to be spending even more of our money deep digging into our pension funds, folks. That's right. They're going to be digging into our pension funds to try and make all these green projects go in Canada. That is just a mind numbing thing. This country's already how many trillions of dollars in debt with a population of approximately, I think, 41 to 46 million. And that is quite high. And the debt threshold is huge. Just remember, folks, the poorest state in the United States is still stronger than Canada. Make it make sense. Yes, folks, make it make sense. Mhm. And also in the news, we have all these election things that are coming out. Our election was ended on April 28th at midnight, and we are still having issues. It is like the 14th of May. We've already had a judicial recount with a judge who declared the Liberals won by one seat, and then lo and behold, somebody gets a return to sender letter of one vote that was for the bloc in that riding because Elections Canada screwed up on their own forms for a return address. And I love this. And came from X from a user I do not know, but his comment is quite striking and actually hits the nail on the head. Canada Post can make sure that we can send all our letters to Santa, but they can't get the letter correctly to Elections Canada. Make it make sense, folks. That is correct. Look at what happened with everything that we got going on and all this stuff. And we still have not knowing who the 11 MPs are that are under surveillance, so to speak, for foreign interference. Now, we already have the one man who accused another man of being wanted in Hong Kong. And if we kidnap him, we could ship him to Hong Kong for a reward. That person got elected, and he got a don't say that again for Mark Carney. And yet the other guy lost, told not to campaign for the fear of his life. What direction is this country going in when we can't even defend the citizens that are trying to be an MP, politician, or whatever? And we're told, no, you better settle down because the Chinese might do something. Now, if that doesn't tell you we're bought and sold to the Chinese already, right? Elbows up, crowd, elbows up. I mean, all you people that have fell for the malarkey of Mark Carney's going to bring change, please take a look at his cabinet pick. It's a rehashing of Justin Trudeau. It is disgusting. It is just idiotic. And here we are today. And speaking of Mark Carney, he doesn't seem to like getting asked a lot of questions that might poke holes in his narrative. Just like with that Bessay or whatever her name is from CTV, he started to get a little bit owly. Well, guess what, Mr. Carney? Quit being a 1 inch man and grow a pair and actually answer questions that people want to hear. Not give us a runaround answer and a bullshit answer and all is good. No, it's not. Trust me, bro. This is a Canadian citizen here, a disgruntled taxpayer, and I'm sure many of you are disgruntled taxpayers would just like some transparency, some accountability, and some improvement in our lives from our government. And that I mean improvement that is basically like healthcare, defense, civil liberties and freedoms. Those are important, but mind you, we are going backwards. Like we're going to have more legal gun owners lose their firearms that's never done anything that maybe shot once or twice, right? Whatever, sports shooters and all that. We're going to try and take away more guns from those people. But the actual criminals who are wanted being re released and committing more and more offenses, and they have no disregard for whatever restrictions you put on them. Oh, sir, you can't own a gun. Oh, sir, you can't leave your house. Oh, sir, please don't leave the country. And yet we've had people leave this country. And remember that gold heist, folks, that happened in Montreal? One guy fled all the way to India. Yes, he got a passport and was allowed to leave. In fact, the one time that during that whole thing, Gold's Gym, and I might be wrong on the gym name, but a fitness center canceled a guy's membership who was involved in the gold heist before the federal government and the justice system did anything. Yes, thank you to that gym owner. It's just disgusting, folks. Where is the transparency and the accountability? And everybody's paying lip service. Now, it's just crazy. I don't want to go on a tangent, but I just might. The cabinet positions, the picking, and everything else like that. It's just weird. I mean, Jolie's still doing what? And she sounds like she's a leader for a book club, folks. She is not a leader for the foreign politics. Now, maybe one day I'll get to meet Jolie and actually have a sit down with her, friendly or what, doesn't matter, and I'll have a better understanding of this woman. But mainstream media and the pundits and everybody else to speak politics, there's such a mixed bag, but a lot of them agree she is not fit for that role. And that is a shame, folks. That is a shame. Yes, we're here at the 10-minute mark. I'm on Clipchamp. This is not YouTube Live. I'm hoping this video will work out fine. Everything else, remember, folks, the scone is lit for somebody who lost a loved one, whatever that may be. For me, I light it every show just to acknowledge the people that I've passed on in my life. And, thank you for everything you've ever done for me, encouragement and whatnot, and a host of other things. And that scone is lit for you as well, folks. You can choose and decide what you would like as whatever wish that the candle will be burning for you. You have a loved one that's lost or a loved one that's sick. That candle's lit for you, so you may use it to pray with whatever you want. I'm just rambling here. Forgive me. Anyways, yes, folks, the mainstream media in Canada is such a joke, and it is horrendously awful. I'm going to go on and say that, we kind of have a peanut moment here in Canada, and the federal authorities or the Canadian Food Inspection Agency is again trying to go after ostriches that are alive since like the initial whatever avian flu thing that happened, where a lot of birds were culled in the province of BC, and these ostriches showing no signs of sickness other than a two have died. And I mean, you go follow the story, folks. I'm only going to give you word of mouth of what I've heard, what I've been following, but follow the ostrich story. It is a shame. Contact your MP, MLA if you don't like the fact that these birds are being called 6 months basically after the fact that there was an outbreak of avian flu and they said they had to call birds. Well, these ostriches are not for human consumption. They do not sell the eggs. In fact, they're a partnership with a Japanese community or university of some kind that are researching the immunity of these fabulous birds. And the recent court case with the judge saying that he pains and doesn't understand that, like he feels bad that the birds must be called, and he's going ahead with the call order, but he wouldn't accept any new evidence from the people that own the ostrich farm, the Japanese studio, or a university that's doing research on these birds with their immunity. It is rather unique and interesting, and in fact, I encourage you to go look at the bird of the ostrich and their biology and everything else. And I mean, try and get up to date stuff, folks. Don't try and watch an old Robert Attenborough or whatever. Go look it up. I'm sure it's out there. I'd love to display stuff for you, but you know what? Like I've always said, I'm just a dude in a housecoat, just willing to share information with you. It is up to you to go look yourself. I mean, I could be wrong on the ostrich story, but my hunch says I'm right, and these birds don't need to be called because it's 6 months after the fact. Two birds died that weren't even anything related to the avian flu, apparently, but because the birds were dead already, they swabbed them almost 2 weeks after their death inside a whatchamacallit, where they keep dead animals, so to speak. So yes, I mean the contamination and everything else, and then they're trying to say that we're going to call these birds. If I was living closer to the Edgewater, I believe this is where it is, the ostriches, I would be out there protesting and making sure that nobody from CFIA would hopefully be getting in to kill those birds. It is a shame. I'd like to shout out to Kyle Kemper, Viva Fry, and a host of other people, Shareware, the people that actually own the farm that are raising awareness about the story. I am praying that nothing happens, positive vibes to everybody that is encouraging people to speak out. Yes, people, speak out to your MLA, speak out to your MP, call the CFIA, email the CFIA, do whatever it takes because this calling should not happen. If these birds are still healthy after so many months and they show no signs of sickness, there is no need to call. In fact, a lot of these things that are being called is because it's mass farming, all right? And I mean huge industrial scale chicken farms where chickens aren't all treated equally, so to speak, because it's a huge, massive operation. So chickens are neglected and, end up with diseases and other things because of these large scale farms, because it's an overwhelming sense of chickens and not enough people to actually make sure that these birds stay healthy. Now, on a normal farm with normal people who have like, maybe 100 chickens and stuff like that, it is easier to keep control of your chickens. But when you get up there into the thousands of chickens on a farm, you are going to run into problems. And because of that, they will call the whole industrial farm if a few birds were sick or malnourished, and they think it's because of the bird flu. That is amazing. Now, I've heard from people who are chicken farmers, I've heard from researchers who said, let the avian flu go through. Yes, the birds will die, but the ones that survive will have immunity. Isn't that something important? Because when they have offspring, their offspring's going to basically have the immunity for that strain of avian flu or whatever else it might be. I mean, again, I am not an expert. I mean, go research. I mean, I hope you enjoy my shows and everything else, but what I say is what I'm telling you is pretty truthful. But I want you to research, folks. Read yourselves. I mean, if I actually make a mistake and say something that is incorrect, I will be very, very happy to hopefully correct that in the future. Yes, folks, it is a strange world where we are killing active animals that are alive, healthy, and all for the name of the global good, folks, not for like BC or the farm itself or the community, but for the global people in the United Nations who are pushing all this stuff that we must have all these things happen in order to protect us, which is so wrong because I dislike it when somebody from somewhere else, like Victoria, for example, saying that, oh, we got to stop the grizzly bear hunt and the bear hunt. It's tragic that we're hunting bears. And then, so yes, the majority of southern BC votes against grizzly bear hunting and other forms of hunting of bears in a way. I know I'm just telling a story here, but let me tell you, in Prince George a couple of years back, when they actually stopped trying to hunt bears, that Fish and Wildlife had to go out and shoot a bunch of bears, which means they had to take our tax-paying dollars and somebody in a vehicle to go drive to where this troublesome bear is and basically shoot it because it's a troublesome bear. Now, if you would have had proper hunting where we try and like hunting is a good thing, it keeps wildlife in check. And if we keep it in check, and that's been so good for so many years, I mean, yes, wildlife management is a tough job, but we've been doing so well with it. And then when we get some people who are a city dweller who's never been around a bear, who doesn't understand what bears do, and they never been in a rural setting, do not know what it's like to be a farmer when you're in calving season, or your chickens, or whatever else, whatever form of animal. Because when a bear is hungry, a bear is hungry. And if he sees an easy meal, he's going to take an easy meal. So, why can't we just allow the hunters to thin the herds and they pay for that privilege, folks? Get that, eh? They pay. They pay for that privilege instead of us having our tax paying dollars used to go take out a bear that somebody who's a sports enthusiast, a black bear hunter, a grizzly bear hunter, a hunter in general, will probably use the hide. You will probably use the meat. I've been offered bear meat many a times in my life, and I don't think I've actually ever had bear. But you know what? It gets used instead of the government shooting it, taking it to the kill dump, and leaving it there. Why spend money when somebody's willing to spend money for the privilege of hunting that bear that's troublesome, so to speak, and add revenue into our government instead of wasting taxpayers' dollars? Yes, folks, make it make sense. I know. And after all, folks, this is almost 20 minutes, and I really want to try and keep my videos fairly short. I do notice some lag on my video. I'm hoping that it'll improve as things go on. Anyhow, if you have not been to an SPCA ever in your life, please go at least once. You don't have to adopt a pet, but just go and have a look. Make a donation if you like, but go and check it out. Also, people, positive vibes. positive vibes, and remember, it's up to you to make things better in our world. Contact your MP, contact your MLA, and everybody have a good